Continue live right here on Pittsburgh CW. Bob Pompeani with you until 11 o'clock at 412-575-2600. Steelers will draft 28th this coming Thursday, and we can expect trades because they always happen, which can mess up the order of this draft and maybe your predictions. But here's the situation. The Steelers certainly need an inside linebacker. That would be their number one need based on what happened to Ryan Shazier. And there are some pretty good inside linebackers available. The problem is they may be taken by the time the Steelers should pick. And if that's the case, then the question is, what do they do? Do they take another inside linebacker because they need a position to fill, or do they go with somebody who they have higher rated in different areas? Because they do need help in other areas. You can look at, on defense, cornerback, safety. You certainly can use as much depth there. Outside linebacker needs some depth there. Maybe even defensive line. I don't think that's going to be first round. Running back, potentially, because Le'Veon Bell's days will be numbered after the end of the season. Tight end, you can always use these things. So what would you do if you saw that scenario building, that all the inside guys you want are gone? Do you still pick that same position just because? 412-575-2600. Let's go out to Ken in Clearfield. Hey, Ken, how you doing tonight?
How you doing?
All right, what's up?
Oh, hey, great show. I just thought the Penguins played they had a great comeback today. They were down 4 with 8 minutes left in the period, and they went on a run, and without getting Malkin, by the way. And I don't care if they play Washington, but I just want to know your opinion. Was that going to start Friday or Saturday night?
I think it depends on how it goes.
Thanks,
Ken. I think if the Washington wins tomorrow and clinches in 6, I think it could start Thursday or Friday. I think if it goes 7, that means they'll play on Wednesday, which means Saturday, Sunday, potentially, depending on TV schedules and everything else that's available. So I think worst case scenario, the Penguins are going to get minimum here, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, maybe for sure Thursday, depending on how the scheduling goes. But that's a nice thing to have. I would fully suspect they recover tomorrow and get back to work on Tuesday, no matter who they play. And by the way, at least Washington has gotten a little bit better, consistent goaltending out of Braden Holtby. He did not start the playoffs. It was Philip Grubauer who kind of supplanted him during the course of the regular season. But now Holtby has played better, and they've kind of ridden him a little bit. We'll see if Columbus could hold serve at home and force a Game 7. I know Washington would rather not go through that. Let's go out to Brian in Portview. Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Hi, Bob. How are you doing tonight?
Great. Thanks for calling.
Okay, great. 2 quick questions for you. Number 1, a hockey question. What does the green ribbon signify that the coaches are wearing?
That's for Humboldt, you know, the team that
the minor league hockey,
right,
or the junior hockey team that had the bus crash.
Right.
Okay, and the second question, the Steelers draft on Thursday night, the first round. Do you see any potential for them to either move up or down in the first round this year?
I do, either or. You know, costly to go up a little bit, although they did it without giving all that much up when they moved up to get Troy Polamalu back in the day. But, you know, it depends on how you want to go. If you want to go high, you're going to have to give up a lot. That's just the way it's gone. If they believe they have an inside backer who they like and they're fearful that he may be gone, they may move up and do that. Like I said, if there's a scenario where their number one guy in that department is not there and they don't feel comfortable in any other position with who's available, they could trade down and get more picks. There are a lot of different ways to go. They rarely trade up, but when they do, they normally have their eye on somebody, and they don't want that somebody to get away. So I think that's all in play right now. I do. And I think the Steelers put together a pretty good draft board. They know what they like, and they normally let it come to them. They don't overreact. A lot of teams do, and I think sometimes that can be costly. Let's go to line 2, Brad, Duncansville. Hey, Brad, how you been?
Good. How are you, Bob?
All right, thank you.
I have a Penguin comment and draft who I would take in the draft.
Okay.
My Penguin point is the Penguins need to go back to work on the power play and get it clicking on cylinders if they're going to win in the next round.
Yes.
And my draft pick, I would go try to get that guy from Alabama, Evans. What do you
Evans,
think?
well, I mean, anybody from Alabama normally comes out. They're pro-ready, and they normally have decent careers, so that would not be a bad pick at all. In fact, it may be the guy they're looking at, Brad. As far as your Penguin question, I agree. I think their power play was 0 for 5 at home the other night, plus they gave up a shorthanded goal, and that Couturier goal today, right after the Penguins had expired a power play, was essentially a shorthanded goal as well. They got to get less sloppy. I think Hornquist not being there in Game 5 hurt them. But it's a simple remedy. It's move and shoot. They have enough quickness where they can keep that puck in that zone for long periods of time, but you can't stand still and look for the perfect pass. And by the way, as they say in the hockey parlance, stick taps to Sean Couturier. That guy played, as we found out afterwards, with a torn MCL. He was the #1 star in Game 5, and he was the best by far player in Philadelphia today in Game 6. That's what you talk about, a guy digging deep and playing and not worrying about his own injury. That took a Herculean effort, so, you know, good for him. He showed a lot of guts and a lot of leadership for that Philadelphia team. Unfortunately, Claude Giroux, not so much. He was a -10. He's their captain. I thought he took some the hit on Letang was cheap and dirty, I thought. The one today was late, should have been penalized, not dirty, but just late. I don't think Claude Giroux had at all a good series, and they need him to have a good series. He did not live up to whatever he is in Philadelphia. Let's go out to George in New Bethlehem. Hey, George, how are you?
Hi, Bob. How are you?
All right, thanks.
I have a Steelers question. I was wondering, with all the Steelers' needs, if Vander Esch and Evans were gone when it come to their pick, would you consider trading out to the early in the second round?
Yeah, I think so. It depends. Again, it would depend on what else they have that they like and they need. If they need a cornerback who happens to still be on the board, because I don't think you could ever have enough cornerbacks. You know, Artie Burns did not play so well last year. I think they have a role for Cam Sutton in mind. Joe Hayden will be back from injury. But you still have to anticipate depth issues and injuries. So if it's somebody there, or in the safeties point of view, there even could be a wide receiver that they really like who's hanging around. And who knows? You know, Martavis Bryant may only be here one more year. So there are a lot of different ways they can go. I still think they're going to draft a running back at some point because Le'Veon Bell's not going to be here. He's made that pretty loud and clear, don't you think?
Yep. Thanks, Bob.
All right, thank you. Appreciate the call. Line 4, actually line 5. Let's go to Jack in Evans City. Hey, Jack, how are you?
Good. How you doing, Bob?
We're good, thank you.
Hey, I just wanted to say that now I think everybody realizes why they signed Hornquist and what a big deal that he is. And I mean, he makes a difference. And other than that, going to the draft, an inside linebacker, is there a better team at drafting players that just turns them into linebackers, clear back to Ham and Lambert? I mean, it's almost like they can just grab a guy driving a bicycle down.
Well, not necessarily so. I mean, they've had their issues with outside linebackers. Jarvis Jones turned out to be a bust. And now they have a decision to make, Jack, on another guy, Bud Dupree. They have an option due to him on May the 3rd. And I got to believe going into this draft that they will know what the outcome of their decision is before it gets to that point. If they plan to exercise their 5th-year option, that means they're going to guarantee his salary for next year. If they don't, that means he becomes a free agent after this year. And if they don't, you could see them drafting an outside linebacker potentially in the 1st round. Who knows? There are a lot of different ways they can go. And your reaction to Hornquist is correct. It was never a question that they didn't want him. It was a question of how much will it cost, because he was going to, if he wanted to play free agency, he did not have to sign that deal. But I think Hornquist knows what he's in, a pretty special environment, and he wanted to be here and win, and $26.5 million is still pretty good money. I bet you he could have got $30+ million had he waited to the end of this season, potentially. But that didn't make a difference to him, and I like that. He wants to be where he's comfortable, still making a lot of money, and that's why they love him, because he's one of those guys you cannot replicate. Zach Aston Reese is the closest thing to it, but he's got a long way to go as well. We got to take a break. Rick and Larry coming up with your calls and more right here on Pittsburgh CW.